I'm Amanda Midkiff, and this is the Locust Light Show, your gateway to creating potent plant magic in your everyday life. No matter where you are on your journey, I'm so glad you're here. We have just gotten a beautiful snow in the garden. When you're a kid and you get a big snowfall, you've got so many exciting things to do. You've got to build a snowman, you've got to construct a fort, you've got to get your tush to the best hill for some sledding. When you're an adult, after you do all the chores that come with a snowfall, you've cleaned your car, you've shoveled your walk, then what do? You just look at it? Yeah, let's go. One of my favorite parts of having a perennial garden is that I get to see the plants at all stages of growth, from sprouts at springtime, to leaves, to flowers, and to when they're buried in the snow. This is a gorgeous sunflower that used to stand so tall, taller than me. And now we can see the heads. They're still beautiful, but they've dropped down, and they've even already given all of their seeds to the ground. And so at this time, in a few months from now, we're gonna have beautiful sunflower shoots sprouting up. These are our rose bushes, and roses are one of the most fun plants to watch through all the seasons because they're so beautiful all year long. So right now we can see all of the stems of the rose bushes. Some of these I'll prune back in the spring. And if you look really closely, you can see the buds, and you can see how sharp the thorns are, and you can even see these beautiful rose hips covered in the snow. Sometimes you even get to see little treasures that you can't see when the plants are fully leafed out, like this amazing bird's nest. I don't know what type of bird's nest it is. If you know, let me know. But I'm just happy that the garden is able to provide a habitat for so many different species. It's already providing so many beautiful things for us, like medicine and beauty and flavor and fragrance, and a home for creatures like birds and insects. This is one of herbalism's most popular plants. Can you guess what it is? It looks very different right now. This is nettle, a huge patch of nettle. And the nettle likes to grow at this spot in the garden because right back there, there's a small pond. It's very wet right here. And so at this time, I don't know, a few months ago, there was actually a ground bird's nest right here in the nettle. But it's fun to come visit in the winter. You can sort of tell that it's nettle if you look really closely at the leaves. This is our fennel that we have grown out for fennel seed. I love seeing the fennel against the snow because the flower heads form this beautiful star shape, and it's just so pretty against the white backdrop of the snow. This is motherwort. Motherwort is a very satisfying plant to grow in a perennial garden because it's one of the first plants to show new growth again in the spring. In maybe late March, early April, nice green leaves will come at the base of these plants. But in the meantime, we still get to see the beautiful flowers. And motherwort's very prickly, so if you have motherwort in your garden, feel free to go out and visit the plants in the snow, but know that the flowers are going to keep their characteristic prickliness. This is the tansy, one of my very best garden friends. Now, realistically, I should have cut the tansy before it went to flower because it does spread the seed and is a kind of maybe more than a little invasive. I didn't do that, so you're all catching me in the act here. But I love keeping the tansy tall at the least through the winter because it provides some structure in the garden and potentially some habitat for some creatures, I don't know. But I always like to imagine that all of the gnomes are living at the base of the tansy here, just creating little homes, hiding away. I wonder if there's a spot in your yard or near your house where you can imagine little gnomes hiding too. This is rue, And rue is amazing because rue is actually a plant that is most comfortable in very hot climates. Rue grows well in very hot and arid parts of South America, of Israel, of the Middle East, all these places. But you'll notice that rue is actually the one plant that is still green right now. These leaves are still green. They're frostbitten, you can tell, because they've got that sort of translucent aspect to them, which lets you know that a plant's leaves have been frostbitten. But here, rue, the desert plant, is somehow still green. It's amazing. I don't know why, but it's nice to sit with the mysteries in the garden. This is the anise hyssop. Anise hyssop is a plant native to this part of the world where I live in the mid-Atlantic. And in the season, it has these beautiful purple flowers. Now, anise hyssop is a plant that pollinators love, but it also provides habitat to insects. You may have noticed on our tour through the garden that I actually don't cut back a lot of the stems in the fall. You know, I leave them up through the winter, and then I cut them back as late as possible in the spring. And one of the reasons why I do this is that the stems of plants provide habitat for insects in the garden. They also provide food for birds. In fact, just as we were filming a few minutes ago, there's an adorable little bird eating from the catnip. I can only assume perhaps eating some of the seeds from the catnip. And, you know, I'm a plant person, so I'm not a bird expert, and nor am I an insect expert. I don't necessarily know who all these birds are. I don't know exactly what they need, and I certainly don't know who all these insects are, and I don't know what all these insects need. But I do know that by leaving the stems to grow to stand through the winter, it's providing habitat for insects. So some plants, especially plants that are native to this area, they have a hollow stem. So anise hyssop has a square stem that is hollow with a little hole in it. And that space in the stem can provide a place for insects to lay their eggs, and then the eggs get to, you know, incubate there through the winter and hatch at some point in the spring. If I had chopped these down, there would be no home for the insect eggs. And in fact, right here, on the anise hyssop, there is a praying mantis nest, and I often find praying mantis nests throughout the garden, and then in the fall, the garden is just swimming with praying mantises, and it's because we leave so many of the stems to grow. Thank you for joining me for this fun adventure in the snowy garden. I encourage you, wherever you live and whatever kind of weather you get, go outside in all types of weather. Go outside when it's raining, when it's cold, when it might even feel unpleasant to you, and explore and experience the plants in every type of state, because the plants are outside living through all this weather. And the more time you spend with them, living life as they do, the closer you will be with them and the more connected you will feel to them. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Remember, the plants and the trees and the land and the gnomes and the earth loves you. You belong here.